Bonjour, everyone. Hi, this is Neshi Lokotz. Welcome to Star Nations Organization's main fan page where I do my weekly live stream show from, and my show is Communications from Home. It's part of our tagline. And so welcome, everybody. It is Tuesday night, October 16th, and can you believe it? We're right in the middle of the month already. It sure is going by fast. It seems like they do all the time, doesn't it? It certainly does for me. It's very, the sun's setting so much earlier these days. And so it's dark out, and Paul and Ginger just left. Paul had George out. Did I say Ginger? It's our old dog. Row. George the puppy. He had George out for a walk tonight, and so they just stopped in to say hi, and they just scooted out the door. So I hope you guys are having a good Tuesday. It was a good Tuesday around here, a very busy Tuesday, I would say. It always is at Star Nations on Tuesdays. I call it Terrific Tuesdays because we generally have quite a few shows, live stream shows for Star Nations radio network, huh? Hey, hi, Julie. Julie's here. I'm so glad you're here, Julie. Good to see you in the chat. This evening's show is all about Star Nations Magazine because we're celebrating our 5th birthday, our 5th anniversary. In fact, what I'm going to do right away is, before I forget, is I'm going to share the broadcast, share the show, and like it. So if you wouldn't mind joining me in doing that, to like and share, I really would appreciate it. And I tell you the reason why on their shows, we ask you to do that, to help us with getting the broadcasts, the live stream shows into the news feed more often. And so it's much easier for people to find us, really. So I'm going to like it, and I'm going to share it. And I'm first going to share it to my personal news feed and let my friends know that I am live streaming. So it just takes a second, really, a couple seconds, actually. I'm just going to let them know I'm live streaming right now. And I'm going to say Communications from Home show. Communications from Home. Please join me. There we go. That's one. And I think what I'll do is I'll share it over to the Star Nations Radio Network closed group, because really that is where most of the active community members are at. So I'm going to do that. I'm just going to say hi, peeps. I call them peeps because they're my peeps. We need a space between there. And let them know I'm live streaming. And please join me. And another reason why we do this is because I know what it's like. You get busy, it's after supper, and maybe the kids are, you're getting them organized and that sort of thing. And you think, I'm going to watch that show, and time slips away, right? And you kind of forget a little bit. And so sending the notification or the request to share helps. It did for me anyway. All right. So, the reason why Tuesdays are busy is because we have several shows. Some Tuesdays we have actually 3 or 4 shows on a Tuesday. And this Tuesday, today, we've had, there's 1, 2, we had 3, including my daily live stream. So it gets a little busy. Yeah, it does. Julie says she's listening and she shared. Thank you so much, Julie. I appreciate that. Hey, Jill Conrad. Happy anniversary, Star Nations. Congrats on your growth, creativity, and team. Pretty amazing organization you have going. Thank you so much, Jill. And what I love is hanging out with you guys, our community. Because without you guys, we wouldn't be here, because, we saw a need, and that need we wanted to help with and to be in service of that. So, and that's why we're here. And Jackie's saying, happy 5th anniversary. Thank you. Thank you. Hey, Rochelle, how are you doing? It's good to see you in the chat. It's good to see you there. Yeah, there's the 5th anniversary. In fact, I want to show you. This is the collaboration that we work with, right? And this is one of the ads, one of the promotions that our partners over at Elm Publishing, they are our layout specialists and graphic artists, and they put together this particular promotion. And I have to say, this is what I like about it, is that it's family, literally. Elm Publishing is owned by my niece, and her one employee is her mother. And my sister-in-law, Anne, she has it's got to be 25 years now, over 25 years of experience with Adobe InDesign. She is used to be in gaming, board games, right? And then branched into the digital games. She was actually in Wisconsin, Lake Geneva. Some of you guys might know this one. Dungeons and Dragons. She worked for the company that developed Dungeons and Dragons. Yeah. She had a lot of friends who liked Dungeons and Dragons, let me tell you. And then that company was bought out by another company on the West Coast, Wizards of the West Coast, actually. And they took a few of the team members with them, and my sister-in-law, Ange, was one of them. And so they moved out to Washington State, and they've been there for many years now. And she just recently retired. I don't know if I want to call it that, but she was available for her daughter to start when she started her company. And they became our layout specialists. I think we're going on 4 years with them. I think I did the layout myself for like a year and a half. Let me tell you, it's creative work, and I enjoyed doing it, but it's not nearly as nice as what Angie and Nissa do, because they know that software so well. I was just using PowerPoint, but the ad that they did here, it is the bio pictures of the contributing writers, and it's also some of the magazine covers over the last 5 years. And so I really like it. We'll share it again tomorrow. I'll probably post it sometime tomorrow or the day after, just to celebrate again, just to let everybody know. Yeah. In fact, Julie is saying, I would love to share that. Sure. What I can do, Julie, is why don't I send it to the whole team, both hosts and contributing writers, and you guys can have the JPEG for it. Okay, I'll do that tonight before I go to bed. Yeah, easy enough to do. Rochelle says, anniversaries are fun. Yes, they are. Yes, they are. And with it being the 5th year, most of you probably haven't even really seen the slight changes that we've already done to the magazine. Every year in October on our anniversary month, what we do is I sit down with Elm and we go over the things that have worked really well over the year, things that we could have done better over the year. And we talk about maybe changing something up a bit. And some of them are so subtle that you probably didn't even notice. Some of the mastheads on the articles for the contributing writers, we've been slowly developing them a little bit more. And some actually have graphics to go with them, and others just have color. And so it's a way to be able to ease the eye, when you're reading, especially digitally, that you have a little bit of a break with just the color rather than more graphics, right? Because we have really beautiful pictures in the magazine too. We do. Yeah. You're welcome. You're welcome, Julie. I will do that before the end of the evening. So what else would I like to share with you about the magazine? I have to say that this particular piece of Star Nation's organization is my most creative outlet. It has been from the very beginning. I remember, because at the time I was still running my other business too, Sacred Hoop, and I was looking for a new way to blog, because I've been blogging since 1996, and I just wanted to do something different. And so I was checking out vlogs and that kind of thing. And I received an email from a good friend of mine, and she was sharing. It was an online mini class, and the person who was being a guest instructor for it was actually somebody who had just started a new company for digital magazines. Because I don't know if you guys remember, but the publishing world 5 years ago, actually 6 years ago, was kind of in chaos. The digital world was just really taking over publications. There was a lot of newspapers that were going out of business. There were a lot of magazines struggling, trying to make that leap from print to digital. And some people would have said, oh, don't go over there. That's a mess. Not me. I remember sitting at the dining room table, looking at this, watching this mini class, and they were talking about it, about this digital magazine thing. So I went out to his website to look at it, and I tell you what, talk about thunderbolt. It's like I knew, and in all of my cells, I knew that this was the next piece. And although it was not for my personal business, it was not for Sacred Hoop, it was actually for Star Nations. We had just started the radio network in February of 2013. Yeah, 2013. Had just started that. And so that following fall is when we had our first issue. And I had never developed an app before, never created one before. The company that we went with, Maycast, they were terrific. They laid it out step by step by step. Click this, go there, download this, and their staff, and most of them are still there, although ownership has changed. But most of the tech staff is still there. And let me tell you, they are great at customer service and just helping, because there's a lot of us that are going, I don't know what I just did. I pressed that button and it all went away. I did that once. So anyway, that's kind of how we got started with the magazine. I was looking for a different way of blogging, and recruiting the first contributing writers, and many of them were our show hosts, which was very helpful, because many times we used our shows as our articles, so we could kind of expand and include. Now, back then, because the digital world grows in leaps and bounds, back then, magazines weren't really digital. It was kind of cutting edge at the time. We're still kind of standing. At Maycast, I think we have over 500 people who have magazines with Maycast. They're the ones who help us turn it into a digital magazine with iTunes and Google Play Store. And what they did is they made it very unique, because when we use a video inside of our magazine, you're not taken from the magazine to like YouTube or to Vimeo or something like that. It's seen right in the magazine digitally. many other magazines said they were digital, but they would take you would literally have to leave their magazine to go to a different website to watch the video. It wasn't embedded. Now there's more and more of that happening, but back 5 years ago, there weren't that many. And so it was kind of fun to be on cutting edge technology at the time. And now, 5 years later, I could do the optimization with my hands behind my back. Oh, I need my hands. My eyes masked, right? I've been doing it for 5 years. Yeah, there's we have a certain rhythm to the creation of the magazine. We actually overlap. When we get to the first part of the month, I am working with the contributing writers' articles and finding the pictures to go with them and getting those prepped for the layout. And at the same time, I'm sending out an email to the contributing writers prepping for the following month. Yeah, so we have a little bit of an overlap there. Yeah. And so my mom is, she knows about this, and she's actually helped pick out some of the covers too. She says to me, "Oh, so you have 3 days of freedom," which it's not true. It's not true. But I have about 3 days that I can work on something else for a little bit, and then I have to start the magazine process all over again. 3 days. But you know what I like about it is the creativity. That's what I love about it. Yeah, we thank you, Julie. Love these stories about creation. When we first started doing the live stream shows a year ago, I actually started doing Be Live TV live streams in, I think it was May of last year. So I've been doing Be Live live stream shows for over a year now, and all of that was for practice and experimentation. And in order to have to learn about interviews and how this program runs and all of that, I started interviewing the contributing writers for the magazine and the show hosts for their at the time their internet radio shows. And so the shows and the magazine have always been meant to be dovetailed together. For those contributing writers who want to use their shows as part of their content of their article, it's always available there for them, and that we can actually use their recorded show as a part of their article, right? And so it's always meant to do that, to work together. And so when I started interviewing the writers and the show hosts using Be Live, I just started using those recorded interviews in, I think it was June or July of this year. I started a new piece in the magazine called Communications from Home. And so based on this live stream show. And so it's an update of what everything is going on in Star Nation's organizations, from the academy to the shows, to the classes, and all of it. And so I started using those interviews that I did over a year ago and putting them into the magazine so that readers could get to know not just the contributing writers, but also the show hosts. Yeah. So it works really, really well together. Really, really well. And Julie's saying, you do beautiful work, Neshi, always wonderful issues. Well, thank you. I appreciate that. And you know what? What all I'm doing really is taking raw material, the contributing writers' articles, their wisdom, their gifts, and putting a pretty frame around it and creating the frame. That's what I do. The platform, the frame. And it's fun. It really is. What I love about it is in the beginning of every month, or I should say at the beginning of a new issue, there's this adrenaline rush of creation, right? And there's a distinct beginning and a distinct end with the publication date of the 10th of every month we publish. Yeah. One of the things I really love doing is finding the pictures to go with the articles. I love doing that. Julie is saying, I got to feature one of my archived shows in the magazine this summer in May, I think. Yes, it was. That's the one that you did with the singer-songwriter, what was it? DeLong, wasn't it? DeLong? I think it was. That was a good one too. And also, I think there was another show that you did, live stream show that you did recently, this past year, and I don't remember which one it was. But let me show you a couple of other things here. Here's our cover for the October issue. There's your cover. When I found this picture, I had actually a couple of them. I didn't know how Halloweeny we wanted to go. And that's actually a direct quote from Angelica. How Halloweeny do you want to go? I like this cover. Why? Because I really, it touches our childhood, the inner child. And how many of us have carved pumpkins, right? And in the back, it's almost like a squash. What are those called? Hubbard squashes, I think that's what it's called. And our writers, they know a heck of a lot about Halloween and Samhain, and to be able to write about that. So that's our cover. I like it. I really, really do. To me, it talked about our childhood and the pieces that we really like about Halloween as adults, right? If it was only about our inner child, I would also had Halloween candy on there too. Butternut squash. There you go, Carla Joe. Thank you. Butternut squash. Yes. Yep. Halloweeny. Yes, exactly. Oh, yep. And the Donna Delore. That was the article. Loved her songs too. That was a great interview. And Julie, you did another great interview last night on your show. Yeah, Voice Over Violence. And that was a really good show. I think you touched a lot of hearts last night. Carla Jo. Yes, Carla Jo knows a lot about Samhain. She certainly does. And she certainly does. And in fact, I think it was last year, wasn't it, Carla Jo, that you wrote that first article about Samhain, but you and I actually did a Halloween special live stream talking about the history of Halloween and Samhain and how those have evolved into modern day. And yeah, that was good. That was good stuff. So that's our cover. And we have a couple of things going on here. Here's one. This is one of the articles that's on the cover. The title is, and that's the transformative beauty of emotions by Nicole Fix. And her article was really it touched the deepest part of us, I think. She says that Nicole has wisdom about emotional health, and she really does. I wrote the little synopsis for it, and it goes, through the process of her own healing, along with her clinical training, she became enamored by the transformational power of emotions. Time and time Again, she witnessed her own and others' feelings playing a miraculous role in recovery. To negate the strength behind our emotions, she believes, is to negate the force behind a central guiding force in our lives. This article holds a potential breakthrough for some who want to understand the healing of emotional trauma. And it's true. When I first read Nicole's article to get it ready for layout, I think that we all have been through challenges and experiences where our emotions, when we don't suppress them, can be part of the overall healing and soul growth, right? Yeah. So this article, I love the picture that I found to go with this, because it's she talks about kind of being a mess sometimes, with the emotions, but it's also beautiful. It's also beautiful when you work your way through them. And she's not saying it's easy, and she does say it's messy, but it can also be a beautiful moment when you experience your emotions at their fullest and allow the unfolding of it and the healing. Yeah. Yep. Julie says, can't wait for my hard copy to arrive. I know, mine should be here tomorrow, I think. Yeah. And Carla Joe says, I believe it was last year and it was fun. Yeah, it was fun. I remember that show. In fact, I might do a replay of it. I think that would be a good thing. And Julie said, I got to talk with Nicole last night about speaking out about personal trauma and how to heal. She's also smart and sensitive. Yes, she is. And she always kind of gives me this, oh my gosh, eye roll when I say this, but she is also one of the kindest people I know. She's really, really kind. And I think it has to do with the quality that she has of really listening to you. Yeah. Yeah. And it doesn't mean that she does when she speaks her truth, that she couches it and tries to, filter it. She doesn't do that. But when I say that she's kind, is that she will go the distance for someone. Yeah. And be there. Even though she might be quiet, she's still there for them, which I think is kind. Maybe more than kind. But this article by Nicole Fix is, you'll want to read it and understand why it's so important to really focus on your emotional healing. Yeah, it's a good one. All right, who's next? Who's next up? Look at that! It's Carla Jo Worth. What mask will you wear next? What mask will you wear next? Hey, Carla Jo, I'm going to do this. I'm going to copy this and I'm going to go to my messenger. Now, I don't know if you're wanting to. You may. I'm just going to send you the link to the show. And if you want to chime in to the show, all you have to do is click the hot link. Right? I just sent it in Messenger, and they'll take you into the lobby. But that's only if you want to, okay? I don't want to put you on the spot. But your article, notice where it showed up on the cover, top, center, huge lettering, huge font. So in Carla Jo's article, What Mask Will You Wear? She actually, I love the way she writes, because Carla Jo is a good teacher. She teaches us about the roots of a belief, okay? And being a solitary witch and a Wiccan belief system, she brings a certain quality to the information. And in this particular article, she's informing us about Halloween masks. And there were some things in there I thought, oh, really? I didn't know that. This insightful article is a pagan perspective to why in modern times we carry on the tradition of masks. The intention of what kind of mask you decide to wear has a deeper meaning. A must read for those partaking in the pagan Halloween tradition. Because, sometimes, Carla Joe's, I'm sitting here in my PJs. Oh my gosh. Yeah, and I told you didn't have to if you don't want to. It's just that, a little bit of the backstory. And now we can say, and a little bit of that backstory, is that we can say now, and next year we'll say, oh, and Carla Joe wouldn't come on the show because she was sitting in her PJs. Oh my gosh. Hi, Linda Groza. Let's see. You're saying yes, please. Are you thinking that we're doing a card draw tonight? That's not tonight. That's tomorrow night. That's on Soul Connections with Polly Joe LeBay. Yeah, that'll be tomorrow night. Okay. You're more than I'd love for you to stay and listen about the October issue of Star Nations magazine. But the card draw will be occurring tomorrow night. That is 7 p.m. Eastern time is when Soul Connections live stream show starts on Wednesday night. Okay. All right. And Julie says, me too, Carla Joe. Everybody's in their jammies. Well, I'm broadcasting from the Academy. I suppose I could wear my PJs up here. Nobody would really know, right? Okay, so about the masks, just when we think about masks in general, not just Halloween, but sometimes we choose to wear a mask to cover up our authentic self, right? The true us, our soul. And so when we remove our mask or when we heal those aspects of ourselves, the mask tends to get, shall we say, thin, and starts to disappear. And our true self comes shining through. And so there is something about that Halloween mask and wearing the mask that covers us up, right? Julie's saying PJ Partay. Oh my gosh. I haven't been to one of those in years. Used to do that with my nieces, PJ parties. And they're in their 40s now. So it's been a long time since you've done one of those. So thank you so much, Carla Joe, for sharing your knowledge and your wisdom about masks and Halloween. For those who are really interested in where did that start and why, Carla Joe's article is a good one to read for that. That mask that picture that I found is actually, and this is what happens in the magic of layout, is that I send them the raw materials, the edited text article, and I send them the picture, and how they decide to place the picture adds to, I think, the magic and the beauty of the frame that goes around the experience and the wisdom in the article. Yeah. Carla Joe is saying, I used to have an entire closet full of masks and costumes to hide who and what I was. Have thinned the closet out pretty well over the years. I think we all have, right? Yeah. Yeah. And we change, I think, from as we age, that linear age, we get to a certain point where it gets tiring to have this facade, and I think that's when we decide that, heck with it. If they don't like me the way I am, all right, I'm not doing that anymore. I'm not covering myself up anymore. Carla Jo says, you are welcome. Thank you for the opportunity to teach. Absolutely. I love your articles. I always learn a little bit of something along the way when I'm reading them. And I get to read them first. I get to see them first. And so, and when the writers send their articles in, when they submit them to me, and a lot of times I'll write, I can't wait to read it. It's true. It's true. Especially with the titles that they send it's like, I got to read this one. Even if I wasn't creating the magazine, I'd still be reading it. Yeah. All right. So who's up next? Oh, this is a featured article. A featured article by Jessica Niekamp. And Jessica Niekamp wrote about the red tent. Have you heard about the red tent? Who read the book, The Red Tent? I did twice. But Jessica, she is actually she facilitates a group of women in West Michigan called the Red Tent of West Michigan. And she says that that the red tent is a strength for women. The women share their stories and are heard, sometimes for the first time. Imagine being surrounded by the purity of such rawness and the beauty of deep passion as these women find their strength and power in compassion and support for real sisterhood. This experience is the red tent. Yeah. If you're not familiar with the red tent and you read Jessica's article, you'll get the feeling around why women are drawn to that particular organization and those groups. It's because their voice is heard. Their voice is heard. Yeah. Yeah. Carla Jo says it's a wonderful book. It certainly is. I read The Red Tent the first time probably, 10, 15 years ago, something like that. And then I reread it about 6 or 7 years ago. Yeah. It's a good book. And I used to think about, in many Native American traditions, when you have your first period, there's certain, I don't know if you really want to call them ceremonies. Some of them are, but you are meant to spend some time on your own. And it's not necessarily because, it's dirty or anything like that. It's just that your energy, or what they call your power, your spirit, your medicine, is much stronger at that time. And yeah, and so it's a good time to go within. It's a good time to learn about that part of you. And in the old days, the very, very old days, they would have a separate structure, whether it was a wigwam or a tent. That's where the women who were menstruating would go. And you know how we cycle close to each other? So there was always a group of women in that red tent, right? In that tent or that wigwam. And literally the women who were already in menopause, and the young women, the young girls who hadn't started their period yet, they're the ones that would take over your chores, the things that you were responsible for. And they would also bring you your meals and water and that sort of thing, right? So basically, the only thing that you had to be concerned about was your own well-being and taking care of yourself. How often do we do that now in modern day? Jessica's article is a wonderful article if you want to know more about the Red Tent and how to contact the Red Tent of West Michigan. Yeah, it's a good one. And who's next? Who's up? Here's another one. All right, so we have a brand new writer, contributing writer to Star Nations magazine. Her name is Adrian Campbell, And she too is a solitary witch from the other side of the United States. She's over in California. And so her first article, her premiere, her debut, is when she wrote about Samhain. And the title or the name of her new column is The Witch's Cauldron. And Adrian's gifts, her strengths, lie in the herbs and how to collect them, when to collect them, how to use them. And so she includes a recipe for Samhain bath. And yeah, it's a very good article. And she writes it from a perspective of she wants to be helpful to support your inner witch, is what she says. To support your inner witch. Yeah, it's a good article. And, it takes a lot of courage to be a contributing writer to a magazine on a monthly basis, because it's a commitment of your energy, your time. And let me tell you, our contributing writers, they shine every month. And sometimes they have to take a break, and we work with them when we take the break. For instance, Paul Krauss, his article is going to appear in December because he took this month off. He was on vacation. He was trying to get a show in and do his article all at the same time, like he wasn't on vacation. And so it's like when he says, do you mind if? And I said, absolutely. Go on vacation. You're on vacation. We'll do a replay. It's not a problem. Because, we need to take care of our writers. You guys do a lot for us. And so anything I can do to support and to help, I certainly do as best I can. So in Adrian's article, she shares with us how we can do that, how we can take care of ourselves and tap into the medicine or the spirit of Samhain. Good one. And I know Julie's going, ooh, Julie loves baths. Wait till you see the recipe that she has for the bath. It's pretty good. In fact, I keep thinking, hey, look who's up next. And that would be our very own Julie Hedges. In fact, I'm going to do it again. I'm going to send the link. Not that you have to, but just in case you want to pop on for a few minutes, you certainly can. I just sent it over to you in Messenger. You don't have to. If you're in your PJs and you say, nope, that's not, I'm not doing that, it's okay. But we're going to talk about your article. Venus, Justice, and the Feminine Principle. All right. So Julie, had she just written about Venus, that it would have been a great article. If she would have written about Venus and justice, it would have been a grand article. But she added the feminine principle into the mix. And what did she create? She created an article that has aha moments built into it. And how you see how the tarot and how the astrology and all of that intertwined, weaved together, and how we can understand ourselves and our growth from another perspective, a much deeper one. Yeah. And so, Julie, thank you so much for providing the information and the support that's involved with that. Yeah. Julie says that astrology is her first language, and the tarot is an ancient form of communication, divination. Yeah. And so she weaves these things together and provides us with information that we may have known about, but to see it from in that perspective at that depth every month. It's pretty awesome. It really is. And this particular article, what I loved most about it, well, I like the whole thing, but what I loved most about it was helping me to understand how Venus in retrograde affects us. That was my aha moment with that article. So, if you are even just a little bit interested in tarot and astrology, you have to read this article because it's going to be expansive for you. Expanding. All right. And then we have Wisdom Keeper's Path. Oh, well, wait a minute. Hold the phone, Joan. We'll try it again. Okay. Julie said she tried to jump on, but it didn't work. So we're going to send it again. And that is that's the guest link. Let's cross our fingers that one works. Oh, you're on your phone. I don't know. It should have worked. By your phone, it should have worked. Do you have the app on your phone? That could be the problem. You need the app, the BeLive app on your phone in order for it to work. Yeah. Well, she'll come on. There's a 5-second delay, so she'll let us know. How many people in chat know Eddie Mullins? Well, rats. Julie was going to jump on, and she can't get on. Well, let me load the page. Yeah, because if you had the app on your phone, the BeLive TV app on your phone, all you have to do is click the link, and it should take you directly to the lobby. I'm saying should, but technology is grand when it works, right? Okay. She says, maybe another time. Thanks for talking about it. Oh, sure. No need to stress about it. That's for sure. So Eddie Mullins, his article in this month's magazine issue, the October issue, is, I'm trying to find the title because it's so small up on the page there. Eddie, The Heart of Embracing Surrender. The Heart of Embracing Surrender. Yeah, he was, Microsoft wanted to do an update in the middle of my show. I don't think so. In Eddie's article, he writes about how we surrender to spirit, right? And he includes an experience with, I believe it was Mother Mary. Oh, Mary Magdalene. That's it. A channeled piece. He was in one of those moments, facing those challenges. And he was with Mary Magdalene, and she gave him some information that was very helpful to him. And he shared that with our readers in his article. And so if you're going through a challenging time in your life, you might want to read this article because it is very helpful. And Eddie is empathizes because he's been through it more than once, And so, yeah, it really touched my heart when I read it. Because Eddie, in this particular article, I could feel it. He wasn't, how sometimes you're trying to couch something in the right words and the right phrases, and he just put it out there. And I think that's why it's so heartfelt and heart touching, is because he shared his heart. He shared his soul. Yeah, it's a good article. Yeah, that's Eddie. Now let's see. I think did we cover everybody? Nope, we didn't. I almost forgot about this little guy. Oh my gosh. How could I do that? Leslie Serenesi, her column name is Communicating with Sacred Animals. And this month, the title of her article is Designer Dogs. Designer Dogs. Yeah. She writes about how when we were kids, if they weren't purebred, they were mutts. And so these days, we have golden doodles, labradoodles. So we have this genetic thing going on with the dogs that we would have called mutts or Heinz 57 back in the day, right? But we don't love them any less, those four-leggeds. And so Leslie shares this, and she also shares about a conversation she had. Yeah, Carla Joe, Heinz 57. Do you remember that one? Yeah, Heinz 57. But Leslie Serenesi is an animal communicator, and she shares with us every month a communication, a conversation that she has had with an animal. Or sometimes it is with the two-legged about their animal. And it's always, she has a sense of humor when these comes through. Now, she's had a couple of really serious pieces too, but this particular one, I think you're going to find endearing. That's a good word, endearing. Yeah. Julie says, I love her work. She tenderly takes care of animals and helped me with Molly. Aw, yeah, she helped me with Ginger too when Ginger crossed. Now, I haven't contacted her about George yet, and I will. In fact, when I was helping Mom get stuff ready after supper in her room to get kind of settled in, to watch the baseball game tonight, I was thinking to myself, I should contact Leslie and see when she gets back into town, back into her hometown in Michigan, to line up some time that she can be on the show with me and maybe do a reading with George on a show, on a live stream. I think that would not only be fun, but God only knows what George is going to come up with. George is my puppy. Yeah. And Carla Jo says, I love her to pieces. They always touch my heart in some way. I know exactly what you mean, Carla Jo. And so the next one is The Spiritual Art of Business is the name of the column. And this is by Brandaline Johnson. And she's writing about free will in business. And Brandaline has a handle on the law of attraction. And so what she's writing about this month is about how our free will as a gift from the Creator and how that fits into your business and into the law of attraction. She talks a lot about intention. And so, if you are an entrepreneur, if you have your own business, if you're thinking about starting your own business, reading Brandaline's articles can be very helpful, especially when your business is a spiritually based business. Mm-hmm. Yeah, it's a good one. And I like this article because it's not all fluff. It's not. When you talk about business, in order to get across to some people, you really have to be very pragmatic, right? Brandaline has a way of being able to write about business in a way that you can tell it is from a spiritual point of view, and yeah, and she's a hoot too. She really is. She has a great sense of humor. She keeps it real. Brandaline. Now, this article, Polly Jola Bay's article in her column, Chakra Sessions, Lightening Your Health and Well-Being. This is a first. A channeled writing Now, if you have ever seen Polly Joe's live stream shows, and she does the healing meditations, you know that she has a spirit helper that comes through that is called the Ancient One. And Polly Joe even wrote this in the article. She sat down to write her article, kind of got through most of it, and it was more of an outline, and then she was going to start filling it in. And her spiritual team said, okay, now that you've done that, in other words, it was kind of like an exercise. Now we're going to write the real article. And the Ancient One came through. And so she wrote a channeled piece from the Ancient One. And I have to tell you, it was one of those moments when I was reading it in the raw form, right, that I could feel the ancientness of it. His energy certainly comes through the writing, and so he's really talking about how we in modern day, what we overlook and what we can do to be more at ease and to enjoy life more. Yeah, it's one of those articles where when you're reading the channel piece that you can feel that energy coming through. Yeah, true, Julie. She says the so powerful, the Ancient One. Yes, we experienced him firsthand last weekend during Polly Joe's class. Yeah, it was like, I don't know what it was like for you, Julie, but for me, we were standing out on the deck out here before the class even started, and I was playing a song. It's the morning song sung in Lakota, and I was playing it on my phone, and I was singing along to it, and asked Julie and Polly Joe if they wanted to come out and join me, and they did, and so they're listening to it, and all of a sudden, Polly Joe starts channeling the Ancient One, and he's singing in his own language, which was the morning song for them at that time. And I don't know about you, Julie, but I was like, it's because that you felt him before, and that it's like an old friend that you haven't seen in a really, really long time. Yeah, that's what it was for me anyway. So Polly Joe's article is really, really in depth. The next article is Earth Energies, is the name of the column, and it's by Karen Crowley Suzani. And it's about, her title is Chi, Prana, and the Ether Element. I love Karen's articles because it's about sacred geometry, it's about sacred sites, and weaving through the chi and the prana, and why certain places feel differently than others. And yeah, if you like sacred geometry, if you like history, if you like architecture, yeah, Earth Energies column is one that will help feed your soul. That's for sure. Yeah, and look at this. Okay, this is my editorial, and one of the topics was pet dog. And since it was the topic, and we selected these topics last year in 2017, so I didn't even know I was going to be getting George. So of course I had to write about the journey in finding George. Fabulous Furry Four-Leggeds was my title. And yeah, that was it was fun writing that. And one of my other sister-in-laws, Paul's twin sister, is the one who took the pictures. I was trying to get George to sit and to pose with me. And this is what we ended up with. And it was like, oh my God. All right, we'll go with this. And actually, when I left the house tonight to come up here, Paul was kind of holding him back so he wouldn't come through, get to the door and try to get out with me, right? And he was whiny and barky, and because I said, okay, I'm going to go to work. I'll be back, Well, he comes up with me almost every day for the live stream, daily live stream. And so he's connected work with this building coming up. Paul said that's why he took him for a walk. He said he was just beside himself. You left him. You went to work and you left him. So that's why they came up to visit. And yeah, George, he's my furry little boy. Here we go. Here's one for you. This is Orchard Franklin and Carl Franklin's article. And this is the Mystery School article. And the title is about healing quickly versus healing completely. There's a big difference. So many of us really want to get the healing part done and onto, a better health, right? Not to be sick anymore, not to hurt anymore. Orchard had surgery on her foot a couple of months ago, and she has learned a lot through that, through preparing for the surgery and the recovery, and now in the integration of it all. And she said the one thing that she learned profoundly is that you want to heal at the rate that your body wants to heal and not to rush it. Because when we rush it, we don't completely heal. Yeah. It's very insightful, that's putting it mildly. All right, we got some George love going on here. Julie, I love George. Carla Joe, hi George, big hugs. Julie, he is rambunctious, but so sweet and tender. Yes, he is. And told everybody about him playing in my dress like a tent. Jesus. And he did too. Oh my God. He had so much fun. He loves Julie. Julie sang to him, and it was like love at first bar, first sound of her voice. Yeah. But this article by Orchard, she wrote it, and then they attached their recorded live stream show to it, because we talked about individual healing, emotional healing, and also planetary healing. And so the message about healing completely is 100% more important than healing quickly. Yeah. Don't we even have cards that say get well quick or fast recovery? Yeah. Now here's Minnie Kansman's article under her column Nature Adventures, and she wrote about the chi of water, and beautiful pictures she has to go with that. So the energy force, the life force of water, the spirit of water. Gorgeous pictures. And what she does is she helps us to understand how water flows, the energy of water. Yeah. And there's some pictures there you just want to be able to go and experience yourself on those hiking trails. Chillin', chi in, chi out. This is Sharon Rosenberg's column, and she writes under the column Nourishing Body and Soul. And so she writes about how life force energy in our food and how it feeds not just our physical body, but feeds all of our bodies. And she always includes a really scrumptious recipe. And this one is no different. This is a cake recipe. And look how beautiful it is. I'm going to do a solo here. It looks so good. That and a cup of coffee, right? And she always also gives alternatives for those who are gluten sensitive and how to replace that. So the flour. And look, Julie Hedges. Julie submitted one of her poems for poetic wisdom, and it's called Melted. And yeah, it's about women and our voices and our experiences, and when we are able to share ourselves in a good way, right? It's about freedom. It's about freedom. When I found this picture, that's what it spoke to me. It's all women and they're happy and they're free, free. So thank you, Julie, for helping us to publish one of your poems again. It's yeah, I like your poetry. I do. Okay, so it looks like we've been through all of the articles, all the contributing writers. And now, before I know we're past the top of the hour, but I wanted to make sure that we have covered everybody. There we go. So, what I'd like to do is to gift Rochelle and Jackie a print magazine of the October issue. Okay, as a giveaway, as a thank you to you guys for supporting us and following us and reading the magazine and just being a part of the community, an active member. And so, if Rochelle and Jackie, if you could PM me your mailing address, I will get a copy sent out to you, and we will. I hope you enjoy it, the October issue, and helping us to celebrate our fifth anniversary. Yeah. I'm just scrolling through to make sure I didn't miss anybody. There you go. Okay. Yay. So, I do appreciate you guys being here with me this evening on Communications from Home, and actually being a participant in our community, whether you're a contributing writer like Julie and Carla Joe, and being in the chat. Thank you so much. And for those who are reading the magazine, subscribing to it, we appreciate you so much. And so let's see what we can create in the 6th year of the magazine. I can't wait. I love doing this thing called Star Nations. So enjoy the rest of your evening, and we will see you back here again next week for Communications from Home, where my guest will be Bob Huntington. I think that's how you pronounce his last name. And he is a nurse practitioner, and many people know Bob over in the Michigan area, and he's going to be my guest. We're going to be talking about genetics and DNA. Can be interesting. So hopefully you'll join us next week. With that, have a good rest of the evening, and Bama Mina, it's Potawatomi for until we see each other again. Good night, everybody.